Hey there, Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome to day 2005 of What You Have to Know, documenting the journey. Originally, as I transitioned from the brick and mortar corporate world of business, where I spent 4 decades, actually 4+ decades, growing and building and supersizing my own businesses, while simultaneously for over a quarter century working in different executive positions in corporate America, primarily in the area of quality. And my definition of quality, which I selected and chose for myself, you might notice if you followed me at all, I like to define things for myself, or say, what does it mean to me? And then I share that definition with other people. They either buy into it or they don't. But for the most part, in corporate America, I define quality as the processes and procedures and the way we do everything throughout our organizations in order to deliver a specific level of quality product or service to the people that we're here to serve. And by doing that, I got to stick my fingers and my nose in everybody's business, in every level of the organization. I usually reported to the CEO or to the board of directors or the actual owners of the companies that I work with and worked with back in corporate. And it made my job really, really fun. Now, I think part of why I could do that and was confident enough to get away with doing that in the jobs that I worked in corporate America was because I had the security of having my own businesses on the side. So I knew if I made a mistake or really messed up or irritated the powers that be and lost my job, which did happen on occasion, I had something to fall back on. I wasn't going to be hungry or in the food line or sleeping in my car because I had other sources of income and other things to fall back on. And that's why I coach and consult and teach people to do the same thing. Never depend on just one thing, because stuff happens all the time that is outside of our control. And so that is one way we can exercise control, is by having more than one source of income, more than one way to take care of ourselves and those we love and care about. So I started doing this little segment to keep track of what I'm doing. Over the past several decades, I have lost the vision in my eyes. My left eye went first, and in my 20s, I couldn't see out of my left eye. And then following my sudden cardiac arrest in 2010, my right eye started to take the same journey, not a nice journey, by the way, as my left eye. And so I think 2019, I finally lost the vision in my eyes enough to be considered legally blind. Now, I still can see some things, and I still seem to function all right, much to the surprise of my family and friends. But just because you have one sense that is impaired in some way doesn't mean you cannot continue to move forward in your life and do a whole lot and have the impact that you want to have. Now, a friend of mine posted today about a question that I really haven't pondered, and I really love it. And I think I went on a similar journey that he is on personally right now with the whole topic of purpose. What's my purpose? Why am I here? I went through that probably a decade plus ago and was like really bent on trying to find out, well, what the heck am I here for? What's my personal purpose? Now, his question is, who am I? Who am I as a human being? And I love that. His name's Damon Burton, and I love to follow him and learn from him because I like to watch what he does. It's really empowering and inspirational because he sets a good example for the rest of us humans on the planet, right? And there are people like that, and those are the people that we want to pay attention to online, right? We want to pay attention to people that we admire and look up to and have values and goals that inspire us, not that detract from who we are or make us feel bad about ourselves. So instead of comparing ourselves to others, we are like, how can I learn from this person? How can I learn from the example they're setting? What impact might that have on my life moving forward? So today and every day, I create a couple of pieces of content for a lot of reasons I've shared in the past, but mostly to keep me moving forward and to keep me consistent and hold myself accountable. So today, in this year's annual challenge, we're doing an annual challenge this year, the Get Your Goals annual challenge. We're doing one thing every day to get what we want. And to make it interesting and fun and to add a framework to it, I have structured it around a life framework that I've used for a couple of years now. Since 2021, I've used a 9-part life framework. Prior to that, since the 1980s, and getting out of college and starting to do personal development and continuous education and lifelong learning, because I think we should always be learning and growing and becoming a better version of ourselves. I started following Tony Robbins and Jim Rohn and Les Brown and all kinds of gurus back then. Robert Allen in real estate and Karen Nelson Bell in real estate, and all kinds of other people. And that was, back in the 80s. But Tony Robbins and Jim Rohn and different personal development and growth people always appealed to me. So I started to apply some of the tools and the techniques and the strategies that they teach. And one of them was a 7-part life framework: physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, relationships, and contribution. I give Tony Robbins credit for that because I think that's who I first learned it from, but I might have gotten it from Jim Rohn. I don't remember. It was decades ago, and it doesn't matter. The fact is that I've used it for decades, and I've used it to take some of the chaos that is in most of our lives and add a semblance of order to it by having this framework. And I've used that framework to set my goals, to think about different areas and aspects of my life, how they interact with one another was today's topic. We're talking about relationship goals this month, and how do relationship goals interact with all of the other areas and aspects of this framework. This is my favorite graphic with respect to that because it reminds me that everything is connected and that everything interacts with everything else. And it kind of ends up being like this whole spider webby thing, only even more interacted than a spider web, because everything we do impacts every other area and aspect of our life. If I improve one of my relationships, it usually improves other relationships as well. If I am struggling in one of my relationships, guess what? That definitely impacts other areas and aspects of my life. If I'm having trouble at home, which